So welcome back to our Corona diet. We've covered a few elements of Asian cooking so far. We've talked a little bit about koji, but here I've actually got some some pre-made koji. Here I've got some steamed rice. So I'm going to take a spoon of this koji. I'm going to add it to my steamed rice. We're going to start the next batch. So every time you make koji, you want to take a little bit out, get the next one going. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make a miso paste. Traditional miso paste is made with soybeans and koji rice. It's left to ferment in a jar for 3, 4, up to 6 months. You know, it keeps really well. But it's a long game. You don't want to eat this stuff straight away. You want to pot it with an idea that you're probably going to eat it months down the line. I mean, I've did this last summer, and I've got some in the cupboard that we're using to make all sorts of nice broths and preparations already. Marinades as well. It's super good for marinating seafood or meats. But here we're just going to show you how to make the miso. It's really, really simple. You need a jar that you are going to store it in. If you've got a kilner, something like this, that's really good because you're going to need to burp this every now and then, so you're going to need to pop the lid just to let any air or gas out, just to stop that build up of pressure. If you've only got a jam jar or an old jar like this, fine, but you're just going to need to loosen the lid just a little bit every day, and you'll hear it hiss, you'll hear the gas come out, and that'll go on for about 5 days to a week. Just at the point when it stops hissing, your miso is ready, and then you can just sort of leave it alone in the cupboard, and it'll just mature and get better and better. And you'll probably end up forgetting about it, and then in 6 months' time, you're going to pull it out of the cupboard, and you're going to throw it in a pan. You're going to make yourself some fantastic broth or fantastic marinade preparation. Also on our video, of course, we've got our stock video, so how to make a stock yourself. So if you make yourself a chicken stock, you take a spoon of your miso paste and you put that together. Throw some onions, garlic, a bit of some herbs in there if you want, but essentially you've got all the makings of something that's going to taste just wonderful with only 2 additions, and then a few little things thrown if you want. But taking the time to do these sorts of things makes everything down the line way easier. The miso, so in here I've taken 300 grams of dry soybeans. I've soaked them, boiled them. If you've got a pressure cooker, even better. That'll cook them right out, cook them down to a mush. You want to get them really, really soft. I tend to find things like this. I just whack them in a under an electric whisk, and it bashes them up and makes like a kind of nice puree without overworking them. In here I've got about 350, 400 grams of koji rice. Instead, so before I use it all, before I forget, I'm just going to take a little hand sprinkle, and that just goes in that rice. And that's going to be enough to start that, and we'll cover that with a damp cloth, leave it, check it's still damp every day, and over 3, 4, 5 days, eventually you'll start to see it turns a nice white like this, and that's where you get your nice koji rice. But to make your miso, so all of this koji rice, that just goes straight in there with our soybeans. You need quite a lot of salt. It's going to help to preserve this as time goes on. We're going to put 100 grams into this mix, which it is a lot, but whenever you taste miso, it's salty for that very reason. And you're going to use it sort of one spoon or so at a time. So I've got 100 grams of salt, that goes in there as well. I've reserved a bit of the juice from about 50 mils, something like that, just a bit of juice from cooking off the soybeans. And then just going to turn this on, we're going to mash it all up and jam it into the pots. We're going to leave that much space on top of your miso paste as it goes in. Sprinkle salt, and then that's just that just close the lid of the jar and throw it to the back of your cupboard, or once you've done your week of releasing the gas, and then forget about it. Come back 6 months, you'll have something really tasty. I need to plug this in. So here we've got the fired up our electric whisk, just mashing up our soybeans. Make sure the sides all go in there. Get that all good and mashed up. Now that's all nicely mashed. I mean, I don't want to take it too far. I don't want gunk. I want like a sort of mash, a ground up soybean kind of paste. We're not trying to take it to a puree or anything that far. And once that's nicely mashed up, I'm now just going to take a spoon. We're going to push it down into our jars, leave a little bit of space at the top, and put it away, store it. So, pack that right in there. Good squash. Jam it down. Tie the sides up. And then at this point, before you store this, you're going to want to just sprinkle salt over the top. And this is just going to stop any unwanted stuff growing on the surface. So I'm going to give this a little burp every now and then. That little layer of salt there should just protect it. And each day, just for the first week, come back and check. Once you've closed it, come back every day and just let a little bit of pressure off, like so. Just until it stops hissing each time you do it. And then just push it to the back of your cupboard and leave it at least 3 months. More than 3 months is better. It's like chutneys and those sort of things. Like the longer you leave it, the more it matures, you get a better product. So I quite often, I tend to just make these things as I go, even without the intention of necessarily rushing to eat them, and then you'll just stumble on it like months down the line or next year. Like I've got my fermented chilies, all these sort of things, and I make them, jams, all this sort of stuff, and I make them, I just throw them into the back of the cupboard, and at first it'll feel like you're making a lot of effort for nothing, but then later down the line you're going to just start finding all these wonderful homemade condiments and miso paste and all these lovely things you've made. So that's miso. It's really quite simple. You just need to get some koji. You can quite often order koji rice, or you can order koji spores, and you can set your koji in motion. I mean, we've got a sake video as well for making sake. The leftover rice from the sake that we're making, we're going to take that and we're going to make a soy sauce later on. So we take the moromi, which is like the third stage in the process of making sake, and we're going to pull all that out when we siphon off our sake at the end in a couple of weeks' time. We use that to make soy sauce. We could also, we made koji sho, which is a really wonderful marinade that we've used to tenderize all sorts of like chicken wings, and then we did a balsamic soy sauce. What do we do? Balsamic soy sauce and shio koji marinade, which made these chicken wings that a day later we roasted them, and we roasted them for about 20 minutes and they just fell apart like they were confit. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing that once you start using it, you'll get hooked. So give that a shot. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like the video, leave a comment if you want to know more about the recipe or any other recipes that we've done, and subscribe to stay up to date with the recipes we're going to be doing in the future.